Hi, everyone. I'm Kelli Robinson, one of the career advisors in the Matthews Center for Career Development, and I also serve as the Matthews Center liaison for the Davidson and Washington program. So welcome to Davidson and Washington Summer 2023. I am so excited for all of you who've been selected to participate in this awesome program. Today's virtual program is going to cover resources and tips and strategies related to specifically housing, as well as the internship search. I have a lot of information to share with you, so I'm going to share my screen so that we can go ahead and get started. So know that this slide deck that I'm presenting, I'm going to be emailing to all of you. There's a lot of hyperlinks included, so you'll be able to easily access it. So just to touch on some of the topics that we're going to talk about in today's program, want to make sure that you're clear on who the program points of contact are. We'll touch on summer housing resources and tips to keep in mind. I want to make sure that you're aware of funding opportunity for internships as you're doing your search. And then speaking of that, we'll finally get into some topics related to the internship search. Want to make sure that you're aware of resources that you can be using to help you along the way. So who is it that you should be talking to for Davidson and Washington whenever you have questions? So the Davidson and Washington program is housed out of the political science department. And this coming summer's program organizers are Dr. O'Gene as well as Dr. Roberts, and you can see their email address, contact information listed here. Dr. O'Gene and Dr. Roberts can answer questions that you may have pertaining to whether or not an internship is a good fit for the program. If you have questions about criteria regarding financial aid and scholarships, or deadlines for financial aid and scholarships, as well as deposit deadlines that you'll have along the way. And any questions that you have related to the seminars that both Dr. O'Gene and Dr. Roberts are going to be teaching this summer. In my role, and you can see my email address, I am happy to answer any questions that you may have pertaining to the internship search, whether it be questions about your application materials, searching for an internship, if you have questions about grants or funding, and finally, how to go about selecting internship offers that you receive. I want to touch briefly about summer housing. With the Davidson and Washington program, participants are expected to find their own housing and find their own internships. You are responsible for doing the search for both. And I suggest that you start doing the search for both sooner rather than later, and that you do the search for both at the same time. Many students will live in college or university residence halls within the district and the surrounding areas. Basically, the colleges and universities in DC will open up their residence halls in the summertime to all the students who are coming from colleges and universities across the country to participate in summer internships and experiences. So you can see some of them listed here with links to their summer intern housing information. Many students in the Davidson and Washington program will elect to stay at the residence halls at George Washington because George Washington is located centrally within the district, as well as that is the place where the evening policy seminars are going to be taking place. There are other resources that you can be using for your summer housing search, and you can see those listed here. There are different organizations within Washington, D.C. that specifically help students find summer internship housing. Here is another list of apartment or sublet resources. Basically, a sublet, if you're not familiar, is when, say, a student at George Washington University is renting an apartment for the year. And for the summer months, they're going to be out of town. They will sublet their apartment to somebody who can help cover the rent while they are gone. And so you can find general apartment guide, apartment search, sublet search resources here. Other resources that I recommend, hop on social media. I know that you can find through Facebook groups that relate to apartment searching. So perhaps search in Facebook groups to see if there is a group for Washington, D.C. sublets, or see if there is a group for particular colleges or universities in the area and sublets or apartment searches that they may be offering. And you may very well be able to find sublet opportunities there. You could consider getting in touch with Davidson alums who live in the district, or alums or current students who have participated in Davidson and Washington, to find out about their summer resources, summer housing resources. A couple of things to keep in mind is your location. So you want to be sure that the location that you are considering is located within close proximity to either the metro system, which is the public transportation system in the district, or in close proximation to where you're going to be doing your internship and where you are going to be participating in the seminar if you're not going to be staying at George Washington University residence halls. Also, be sure that you are cautious of scams. So if when you are looking on the internet, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If you're looking and the rent that is listed for a particular apartment seems very low compared to other apartments within that area, be cautious of that. Just be sure that you are doing your due diligence and research when it comes to looking for summer housing opportunities. I want to shift to talking about the Matthews Center Summer Internship Grant Program. This is a program through the generous donations of alums and donors that has established internship grants to help offset the costs of students who may be pursuing internships that are unpaid or low paying. And a low paying internship qualifies if the wages or other sources of funding is less than the equivalent of $4,000. Know that this funding, this internship grant, is not meant to replace the wages that you would be earning, but rather it is meant to help offset the costs that you may be accruing by doing the internship, such as housing, transportation, food, etc. There is a resource in Handshake, in the Handshake resources section, called the Summer Internship Grants Guide, that walks through the specifics of the Summer Internship Grant Program, including the student eligibility as well as the internship eligibility. Two things that I want you to take away from today's program is to be mindful of the application deadlines. February 26th will be our first deadline to apply for an internship grant. April 1st will be our second and final deadline to apply for an internship grant for the summer. Know that you do not have to have an internship secured in order to apply. If you are in the active process of searching for a particular internship, perhaps you're interviewing, perhaps you are waiting to hear about an interview, but you have a good idea of the internship that you are possibly seeking. If it fits the criteria, you can apply for the internship even if you have not been offered and have not accepted the internship. And speaking of which, let's hop into searching for internships. I want you to know that there is a great resource that is in the Handshake resources section called Davidson and Washington, and specifically the Davidson and Washington Internship Guide. You can actually just quick hyperlink to it here. And you can also, let's go back, you can also find the internship. It's a Google Doc. So once you have visited the Google Doc, be sure to bookmark it because you'll be using it a lot. It has everything from tips and strategies and resources about resumes, cover letters, references, and writing samples, everything that you're going to need possibly for applying for internships. There's information about interviewing. There's also information about resources that you can find to help find an internship, whether they are online or whether they're talking about networking. Now I'm going to show all of these to you later on in this particular program. These are some highlights of particular online resources that I recommend. And again, hyperlinked here, you will find a list of previous Davidson and Washington internship sites. So this is a master list that continues to grow as each cohort completes of where previous students have done internships. It is a Google Sheet, like a spreadsheet, where you can filter and search by policy organizations, legislative offices, nonprofits, NGOs, businesses, etc. And it will list the name of the organization for you to then go ahead and search to find particular internships at that particular organization. I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you later on how to do this search in Handshake. Handshake's really comprehensive, everybody, so I hope that you'll be using it extensively. So just know that there is a way that you can search for particular opportunities in Handshake. And there is also a specific guide in Handshake that talks about resources related to government, public policy, and international relations. LinkedIn. If you do not have a LinkedIn account, or if you have a LinkedIn account, but you have not used it extensively, a big action item that you can tackle sooner rather than later is to become familiar with LinkedIn. You're going to be using it extensively throughout your internship search, and it is also a professional development site that you're going to be using extensively throughout Davidson and after your time at Davidson. So now is a great time to become familiar with it and start using it if you haven't done so already. I know it sounds pretty commonsensical, but Google is a great way to find particular internships. Whenever I'm working with students, and if they're looking for a really niche internship, a really specific topic, we'll pair the word internship with that area of interest to find particular opportunities. So if you are interested in Washington, D.C., education policy organizations, or Washington, D.C. healthcare policy internships, a Google search like that can yield a lot of different resources and really specific opportunities. So be sure to consider doing that as well. I want to talk about networking because networking needs to be a part of your internship search. Words that come to mind, I know when I'm talking to people about networking, include that it can be intimidating, that it's awkward, that it feels strange, that it's uncomfortable. And all of those are totally understandable. But networking is an essential part of an internship search and a job search. And so when you pair words like uncomfortable with essential together, it can be pretty stressful. If you have questions about networking, I encourage you to come in and talk to a career advisor about the process, because networking is the way that you find out about so many particular opportunities. I encourage people, since the word networking has such a bad rap, I encourage people to think of it as having career conversations. You are really just looking to have conversations with people about their particular role, about the organization or company that they work for, about their professional development, about their experience working in Washington, D.C. People are very willing to talk about the experiences that they've had, very willing to offer advice, feedback, suggestions, and resources. Networking or career conversations helps you uncover the hidden job market. When you look at this iceberg, the tip that you see above water, those are the particular positions that you're going to find listed in Handshake or find listed in LinkedIn or other online sites. Below the water is all of the other opportunities that you're not going to know about, because this represents the hidden job market, those positions that are never posted. Career conversations helps you discover other organizations and other people whom you can be connecting with. It basically helps you learn from those walking the career path that might be of interest to you. And it allows you to become more than just a resume. If you are one of hundreds who are applying for a particular internship versus one of a handful who has a conversation with somebody in that same organization about an internship, you become more than just the resume that's being submitted online to apply for that particular opportunity. There are lots of resources to help you with regard to networking. When you think about networking or career conversations, you think about where is it that you can find people whom you can talk to. That's the kind of the first hurdle that you need to walk through or get over. I always recommend starting with the warm and fuzzy contacts, as I like to call them. You need to let people know that you are going to be spending the summer in Washington, D.C., and that you're going to be looking for an internship. And you want to be able to talk to them about the areas of interest that you have. You never know who knows somebody. Even if you don't know someone who works in government, or even if you don't know somebody who lives or works or has lived or worked in Washington, D.C., let people know, because you never know who knows someone that might be a person who you could have a conversation with. You can start with your contacts here at Davidson. You can talk to your peers, talk to professors, advisors, other faculty, coaches, etc. The more people who know that you are searching for opportunities, the more people who can be of assistance to you. Davidson alums are fantastic resources. I have yet to meet a Davidson alum who is not willing to help somebody in their professional development. And the two resources where you can connect with Davidson alum is, again, LinkedIn, as well as Davidson Connect. Davidson Connect is an online platform that allows Davidson alums to connect with other alums as well as current students. There is a specific mentoring section where alums go another step and essentially volunteer to be identified as mentors or career resources for Davidson students. I talk to so many alums who indicate to me their willingness to meet with Davidson students, and they will be definitely willing to have a conversation with you. In terms of resources to help you get started with the networking process, again, many different resources in Handshake that can help you get started. How exactly do you network anyway? It's a series of short videos that I put together to answer that question that I hear from students all the time. The LinkedIn guide, if you're either new to LinkedIn or you haven't visited your LinkedIn profile in quite some time, this LinkedIn guide, again, a series of videos that can help walk you through how to set up a standout profile, how to connect with alums, how to join LinkedIn groups, and how to find particular opportunities on LinkedIn. The Davidson Connect guide, a series of videos that shows you Davidson Connect and helps you walk through finding mentors and connecting with them. And then finally, the networking guide, which is a PDF. It's not a series of videos. The networking guide has everything from email templates that you can copy and paste and edit to outreach to people to request an informational meeting, questions that you can consider asking them in those informational meetings or career conversations, and how to follow up with people after you've had a networking conversation. So there's lots of different resources to help you through this process of networking. But again, if it seems intimidating, it's totally understandable. Come in and have a conversation with somebody about how do you go about networking. And speaking of having conversations with people, how can the Matthews Center assist you in your search for internships for the Davidson and Washington program? We offer in-person drop-in advising every day of the week, Monday through Friday, within business hours. So essentially Monday, Wednesday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. Tuesdays, the drop-ins start at 1 o'clock because we have staff meetings in the mornings. And Tuesday afternoons happens to be my day for the drop-in advising session. So while you can meet with me, if Tuesdays doesn't work for you, any one of the career advisors in our office is going to be able to assist you with any of the questions that you may have. Resume and cover letter assistance, whether it's meeting with an advisor during a drop-in appointment or visiting the resources in Handshake that can assist you. We can help you in crafting these particular documents that you're going to need in applying for particular opportunities. Interviewing assistance. So the goal with the resume and the cover letter is to get the opportunity to be invited to interview for an internship. And interviews can be scary, especially if you haven't done one before. And so ways, again, that we can assist you: come in for a drop-in appointment just to ask some general questions about the interviewing process. Check out the interviewing guide in Handshake, which talks about the different formats of interviewing. It talks about tips and strategies, and it even offers sample interview questions that you may have or that you may be asked. And it also talks about interview questions that you can ask when you're participating. A great resource to take advantage of is scheduling a mock interview with a career advisor. This is where you will schedule an appointment to do a mock interview with a career advisor, sitting down to actually role play an actual interview. And you will get feedback on answers to questions, feedback about nonverbals in your presentation throughout the interview. It's a very safe and effective way to gain feedback about interviewing so that you can practice and become better and start to solidify those interviewing skills. We are happy to talk to you about your LinkedIn profile. So doing a profile review, talk to you about tips on how to utilize LinkedIn, etc. You can schedule an appointment with me if you would like to talk more in depth with me. The Davidson and Washington appointment options can be found in the exploratory and general appointment section. So when you go into Handshake and go to the appointment section, look for that exploratory category, and then you'll find Davidson and Washington. I do strongly encourage that you utilize the drop-in advising and utilize the resources. The appointments can book up a couple of weeks in advance, so just be aware of that. But we are here to support you throughout this whole process. Here's some search tips that I wanted to put together that I'll often talk to students about whenever they do come in to meet with me about their internship search for Davidson and Washington. Number one, you want to apply to multiple internships. And I will say double digits, but double digits does not mean 10. Double digits means perhaps around 30. You want to apply to more positions than you are actually thinking. If you look at it, if you apply to 30 positions, for example, and perhaps you hear back from maybe half of those, which puts you at 15. And then from those 15, maybe you are invited to second round interviews, which puts you at 7. And from those 7, maybe you are offered opportunities at half of them, which would be anywhere from 3 to 4. So you can see that 30 can go down to 3 or 4 pretty quickly. So you want to allow yourself more opportunities to apply to. Keep track of your search. I have hyperlinked here a spreadsheet that is a great way to keep track of positions that you've applied to, positions that you are interested in, job boards that you may find. There is a tab for keeping track of people that you network with and have career conversations with. So this is a great way to keep track of all of the particular resources and all of the particular opportunities and applications that you are submitting. Use multiple resources. You don't want to solely focus on applying for online opportunities. You don't want to solely focus on networking. You want to combine both and all of the above. So use many different resources whenever you are searching for your internships. As I mentioned before, search for internships and housing simultaneously. Students who wait until they have secured an internship before they start searching for housing are significantly behind and will have limited opportunities for housing and paying more in rent than they otherwise should. I've also mentioned paying attention to your internship locations. If you're not familiar with the Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area, I highly recommend downloading a map so that you can become familiar with the area. I highly recommend downloading a map of the DC metro system, which is the public subway transportation system that takes you all around the district and into Maryland and Virginia. This will help get you an idea whenever you are applying for internships. Where is that internship at in relation to George Washington, which is where I'm going to have to go for my seminar in the evening twice a week, in relation to housing if I'm not living at George Washington residence halls. Is my internship near public transportation, be it the metro, a bus system, etc. Think broadly. So if you have an interest in policy, think very broadly about that. Maybe your top interest is related to education policy, for example, but don't solely focus your search on education policy. Whenever you are interested in perhaps the legislative process, you can look at congressional offices, the House, the Senate, committees. So again, thinking broadly. And finally, know that you do have to network. So again, you can see that I'm emphasizing that a lot. So if you have questions about the networking process, be sure to look at the different resources or come in and have a conversation with somebody. So let's give some final thoughts before I jump over to Handshake to kind of summarize some of the resources that I was showing you. The to-dos that you can accomplish over break, I strongly recommend that you begin using LinkedIn or becoming familiar with LinkedIn. I recommend that you browse the Davidson and Washington internship guide that is listed here. Set up a Davidson Connect account and let people know that you're looking for an internship. Meeting with me, you can do in-person drop-ins in the spring semester. You can also schedule an appointment via Handshake, and that can either be virtual or in person. Know that for winter break, our office, with the exception of the week between Christmas and New Year's, is going to be open. So if you'd like to schedule a virtual appointment with me, perhaps starting after January 4th, I believe, you can do that. Okay, I want to take some time now to actually hop over to Handshake to show you some of the resources that are referenced in this particular slide deck so that you can be familiar with them. I first want to go to the Career Center. So I'm logged in. So I'm going to hop to the Career Center. You can see this is the appointments section where you can schedule an appointment if you would like. I'm going to hop here to the resources section. This is a hidden gem that I find that a lot of students don't know about. There are so many different resources in here for you to utilize. I encourage you to start with the table of contents. So if we go here, you can see that each of the particular guides is organized by topic. So if you have questions or are looking for assistance regarding job search tools, as I like to call them, so with regard to your resume or how to write a cover letter, how to find a transcript if you are asked to supply a transcript for your particular internship that you might be applying to, how to utilize LinkedIn, if you are interested in learning about interviewing. So these particular resources are here that you can click on. There are lots of resources, again, the ones that I hyperlinked in the slide deck related to networking. So clicking on these particular resources. I'm going to hop down here to industry guides. So especially when it comes to the areas that you may be interested in, I encourage you to look at the Public Policy, Government, and International Relations Guide. So clicking on it, you will see that it has lots of information when it comes to how to find opportunities, perhaps within Congress, how to find opportunities at different agencies, think tanks, political consulting firms, etc. So this is a really great resource that you can access that has information that you will find helpful. So those are the resources that I wanted to make sure you're aware of. I want to hop over here specifically to the jobs section to walk you through some tips on how you can look for internships in Handshake. So Handshake's a lot like Netflix, I like to say. Whenever you watch a program on Netflix, you'll notice that it will start to suggest programs. It will say, well, you were interested in this program, so you might be interested in this program or this movie. Handshake likes to do the same thing. The more that you use Handshake, the more that it starts to get accustomed to the types of positions that you may be searching for. So know that. But what you can also do is you can set up job alerts so that Handshake will send you emails whenever internships post that fit the criteria that you have entered. So how you do this is if you go here to this search box and let's type in a particular keyword, we'll keep it pretty general, policy. And then we're going to say that we're looking for a policy internship. And then we're also going to add the filter of the location. So I'm going to type in here, Washington, D.C., and I'm going to set a limit of within, say, 15 miles of the district, 14 miles, and show results. So it's going to list positions that fit that criteria, but you'll see over here where it says, don't miss out, save your search. Clicking on that, you'll see down here in the green, it sets up a job search alert that now anytime a policy internship that's located in Washington, D.C. posts on Handshake, I'm going to receive an email letting me know about that. So you can set up as many job search alerts as you want. So let Handshake do the work for you. The other way that you can do some searching is going to the employers section. So these are employers who are in Handshake, and we're going to scroll in the filters down to this labels section. And the label that I want you to search is DIW Washington option, which stands for Davidson and Washington option. This is going to take you to an A to Z list of employers who have been identified as potential, not definite, but potential opportunities for internships. Basically, these are employers in Handshake whom I've gone through and have done a search for those that are located in the district or the Washington, D.C. area, who are in the areas of policy, government, legislative, nonprofits, NGOs, lobbying, etc., and identify them with that particular label. So this will allow you to look for particular organizations or companies that may have internships. If you're starting to search now and you're seeing that particular companies or organizations are posting spring internships, but if that organization or that internship looks interesting to you, keep checking back, because if they post spring internships, it is more than likely that they're going to be posting summer internships. They just haven't done so yet. A lot of the particular internships that you will be searching for are going to start posting more heavily as we get into the spring semester. Okay, I'm excited for everybody. I hope you found this session helpful. Please continue to view it and please continue to utilize the resources that are listed. Reach out with any questions that you may have. Know that I will be sending weekly email check-ins to you throughout the spring semester with tips, resources, strategies, some internship leads to help you as you're going through the process. Have a great day.